On March 15, 2025, the Trump administration deported 261 individuals to El Salvador. This action, however, directly contradicted a court order issued earlier that day. Judge James E. Boasberg of the District Court for the U.S. District of Columbia had issued a temporary restraining order. This order blocked deportations carried out under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. The Trump administration's decision to proceed with the deportations sparked immediate controversy. Among those deported were 137 individuals targeted under the Alien Enemies Act. The administration justified their actions by claiming these individuals were members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. They argued that the gang posed a significant threat to national security. The administration insisted that swift action was necessary to protect the American people. However, critics were quick to point out the concerning implications of the administration's actions. The deportation flight took off after Judge Boasberg issued his order. This disregard for a legal ruling raised serious questions about the administration's respect for the rule of law. The stage was set for a legal and political battle. The American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU, and Democracy Forward filed a lawsuit challenging the deportations. They represented 5 Venezuelan men who were in immigration custody. The lawsuit argued that the Alien Enemies Act, a law dating back to 1798, was a wartime measure. They claimed it was not applicable to the current situation with Venezuela. The ACLU and Democracy Forward alleged that the administration had violated Judge Boasberg's order. They pointed to evidence suggesting that the deportation flights were already in the air when the order was issued. This, they argued, demonstrated a deliberate attempt to circumvent the legal process. The lawsuit sought clarification from the government regarding the timing of the flights and the administration's justification for their actions. The legal challenge highlighted the controversial nature of the Alien Enemies Act. This law, passed during a time of war with France, grants the president broad authority to detain and deport non-citizens deemed a threat to national security. Critics argue that the law is outdated and vulnerable to abuse. They fear it could be used to target individuals based on their nationality or political beliefs. The White House, through Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, defended the deportations. Leavitt asserted that the deportation flight had departed before Judge Boasberg issued his order. This claim, however, was disputed by the ACLU and Democracy Forward. They maintained that the timing of the flight indicated a disregard for the court's authority. The Justice Department also weighed in on the controversy, arguing that the District Court for the U.S. District of Columbia lacked jurisdiction in the case. They claimed that none of the plaintiffs were residing in the district. Additionally, they argued that the invocation of the Alien Enemies Act was speculative. This line of reasoning, however, did little to quell the growing criticism of the administration's actions. Secretary of State Marco Rubio echoed the administration's stance, stating that El Salvador had agreed to receive the deportees. He defended the use of the Alien Enemies Act, characterizing the Tren de Aragua gang as a dangerous criminal organization. Rubio had, in fact, labeled the gang as a foreign terrorist organization the previous month. The Trump administration's decision to deport individuals using the Alien Enemies Act ignited a political firestorm. Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele, in a social media post, suggested that at least one flight arrived after Judge Boasberg issued his order. This post was shared by Rubio and White House Communications Director Stephen Chung, further fueling the controversy. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries and House Judiciary Democrats condemned the administration's actions, characterizing them as a dangerous overreach of executive power. Beatrice Lopez of the Immigration Hub criticized Trump for resorting to an outdated and potentially unconstitutional law. The deportations, they argued, represented a dangerous escalation in the administration's assault on immigrants. The Alien Enemies Act of 1798 has a long and controversial history. It has been used sparingly throughout its existence, primarily during times of war. Its use in this instance, without a declaration of war or an active attack on the United States, raised serious legal questions. Critics argue that the administration's actions set a dangerous precedent, potentially paving the way for the further erosion of civil liberties.